Big fluff.
Cooper. Jamie. Hey, what's with all the police trucks outside and the cameras everywhere, Jamie? Something happening?
I'm not supposed to tell him. Don't rat me out.
I won't.
You know the butcher? The freaking nut job that goes around just chopping people up?
Yeah.
Well, the feds or whatever heard that he's gonna be here today. So they set up a trap for him. This whole concert, it's a trap.
Wow. Here?
Yeah, they're watching all the exits. They're checking everyone that leaves. There's no way to get out of here except backstage, I guess, but no one can get backstage. See? It's kind of dope, right? Yeah. Don't tell anyone. I'll get in deep crap.
No.
Okay. I gotta get back, but come see me for that T-shirt.
For sure, Jamie.
Hey everybody, I'm Joel Murphy.
And I'm Andy McIntyre.
And this is Silver Linings Playback, the podcast where we watch maligned movies and we find their silver linings.
And it is January, and thus we are watching some of the most notorious films of 2024. And we got a Shyamalan ding dong of a movie to wrap up the month.
Trap. Yeah, which is, I've heard Admiral Akbar's favorite movie of 2024.
Yeah.
Because they asked him.
And he said,
thank you. That's exactly what happened. I feel like we should say at the top, I just want to clear this up because I think we even might have teased it in an earlier episode. Our original plan right now was to be discussing Megalopolis, which I very much want to discuss on this show. However, in an M. Night Shyamalan twist, you can't find that movie
this
anywhere.
movie is scrubbed from existence.
It's very weird because in December when we were planning it, it was around, but they literally you can't rent it, you can't buy it, and it's not streaming on any streaming service. Like it is lost media at this point.
Yep. It's gone. And here we are talking about Trap instead of talking about Megalopolis.
So just know that if I had my way, we'd be talking about Megalopolis right now.
But instead, M. Night Shyamalan's always there to pick us up when we're at our most vulnerable and at our lowest.
Which I am happy that we ended up here because I'm excited to talk to you about this movie. Don't let that intro fool anyone. I'm always happy to talk about a Shyamalan here on Silver Linings Playback because the guy swings for the fences.
He goes hard.
Yeah.
And, sometimes he hits, or one time he hit, and then every other time he didn't.
He is Casey at the bat. The very first time he ever stepped up, he hit a home run, and he's had that rep ever since. And we're all convinced that he's going to hit another home run. And we want him to. I know nothing would make me happier than if he made The Seventh Sense.
Yeah, I think you should go back to that well and just do a Sixth Sense sequel called The Seventh Sense.
Right.
It's a whole movie about proprioception, the ability to recognize your body in space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just people closing their eyes and touching their nose and, body awareness. And it's real boring until you find out he was alive the whole time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 7 cents coming soon to theaters near you. No, but I remember the first time I saw the trailer for Trap, and it did put a smile on my face. The audacity of this movie.
The unmitigated gall of this movie to reattempt Josh Hartnett as a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Bold play to bring back old Hardy.
Not just Josh Hartnett, but also Josh Hotnet because he takes his shirt off. So we're trying to launch them both.
So this is Josh Hotnet
at the same time. Yeah. But yeah, so it's him playing a serial killer. I did see that, if people don't know, I think people are aware of this, but the common way to pitch something in Hollywood is blank meets blank or that kind of thing. But the M. Night Shyamalan pitch for this movie was apparently, what if Silence of the Lambs took place at a Taylor Swift concert? That was the original pitch, and he nailed that.
Yeah, I mean, no notes.
Yeah. So there's so many things that we need to talk about, but I think we need to at the beginning.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
To put a pin in that. I'm just thinking about, you know how like stadiums have holding cells?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if there was like a deranged fan in the holding cell and the profiler had to talk to that deranged fan to figure out how to find the serial killer that's in the stadium?
What a missed opportunity. And then it's just the fan is really bogged down with all the details about the singer and two folk. And like, it's like you can't and they only know how to speak in that. So it's like, well, it's a lot like her song, blah, blah, blah. But actually, it's like when she came out and talked about it on the album and then like they shot the music video and remember. So it's like that's the code that has to be decoded is like understanding like some profiler has to watch like a bunch of music videos and get
a
really
bunch
into
of Lady Raven's music videos.
Yeah, which I guess we'll just put this here. Lady Raven, the trap singer in the movie that they're going to see, the Taylor Swift of the movie,
yes,
is M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, who wrote her own music. That is the music.
He wrote a whole album for this. Saleka Shyamalan played Lady Raven.
Mm-hmm. And it's the score of the film. And it was released as its own album as well. So it's like not even veiled. It's very upfront about the fact that M. Night Shyamalan made a movie about a father and a daughter going to see a concert as a way to launch his own daughter's music.
Yeah. And you know what? If I was a director that kept getting the opportunity to make movies despite not making a good one in decades, I would make sure my daughter was in one.
Sure. Yeah. Well, he puts himself in his movies, and M. Night Shyamalan is not a good actor. But he's in all of his own movies already.
Because Hitchcock did it.
Yeah, because Hitchcock did it. Although Hitchcock didn't really have a lot of lines in the way that Shyamalan does. Usually
just being an extra that mugged at the camera in one scene.
Yeah, or he'd sometimes just be a background actor. Like he would just sort of like you'd have to squint to find him. But no, Shyamalan gives himself speaking roles in his movies, and we'll talk more about the daughter, I'm sure. But like, yeah, so she's Lady Raven, she's the artist. But where I think we need to get bogged down before we can really proceed, because it's the entire movie, I think we have to really talk about the setup of the movie, the plan, the FBI profiling, the pitch that like I got excited when I saw the trailer, but of course it's a trailer and you go like, okay, well, how is this going to work? And having seen the movie, I don't know how much thought was put into how it all works, but it was the starting point I read. It was, there's real stuff like this. Operation Flagship is the one that Shyamalan cited. But there have been many of these types of sting operations where people are tricked by police to go somewhere thinking they won something or whatever.
Yeah, there's a famous one in the city of Springfield where all the most famous like traffic violators and things like that were given the promise of a free boat.
Mm-hmm. Where's the boat? Yeah. So like, yeah, obviously that's, like the Simpsons did an episode about it. There's a great Party Down, the new season of Party Down, the most recent one that came out. There's an entire episode about a fake, I want to say it's like a Jimmy Buffett concert or something, but like all of the guys are deadbeat dads and Party Down is catering the thing where they're all gathering. And once they all show up, then they get on a bus that they think is a party bus, but it's actually taking them to jail. So like, yeah, this is it's fertile territory for many a TV show and movie to the police sting operation.
Yeah. Thinner premises have existed.
Oh, that's what it is. Sorry. Party Down. I think they think they're seeing Sting because the police officer thinks that's really funny, that it's a sting operation where they think they're seeing Sting.
And Sting was also in the police.
Yeah. And yes. So that is like because like, and it's Bobby Moynihan is in it and they're going around being like, so are you excited for Sting and the police? And like, that is like the entire bit. in the Party Down episode.
Yeah, gold.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's the starting point here. But I think we have to talk about, so the FBI and the local police, they find out this guy, the Butcher, an infamous serial killer who's on the loose, is going to go to Lady Raven's concert. And we don't find out until late in the movie, but the way that they found that out is they found one of his safe houses where there was a receipt for the concert just left in the safe house. So they knew that he bought tickets. So that's a lead. That's helpful. So they take that information and surround a 30,000 seat arena. We don't, they never say, but however many people arena with a militarized police force.
With all the police that went underground in The Dark Knight Rises were brought out to surround.
Gotham's finest all show up at this stadium. They surround the stadium. And the idea
Matthew Modine's
is,
in his full dress blues.
Yes.
I'm here to see Lady Raven. I've been a big fan of her since her first album.
I hope to get called up on stage as the Dream Child.
I've told them that I have leukemia. Oh, they believed it, Batman.
That's a plot point in the movie, is that he lies that his daughter has leukemia to get her to be the dream child on stage. But okay, so I actually now, as we're talking about, I think they say that there are 8,000 men. Like, they know it's an adult man, and they believe of the 30,000 or however many it is, like 8,000 of them are dads who have shown up, or adult gay men, I would guess.
Yeah, given Lady Raven's whole shtick, she has a large fan base of 40-year-old gay men.
Yeah, so it's some mix of dads and the queer scene in the town for sure. But their plan is that they're trapping everyone inside the stadium, but they don't know what the guy looks like, and they have conflicting reports on who he is. And there's just one FBI profiler who was a former Doctor Who companion, who is there. What? Oh, yeah. The FBI lady. She used to be on Doctor Who.
When was Hayley Mills on Doctor Who?
Wasn't she?
She was Miss Bliss on the Saved by the Bell junior high years. And she was in the original Parent Trap.
The Good Morning Miss Bliss. I thought was she not a Doctor Who companion? Did I make that up?
I think you made that up.
Okay.
But she was Miss Bliss, and that's great. And she was the original Parent Trap, which made me think that with Hayley Mills being in this, that this was a sequel to that.
That is why they cast her, isn't it? They cast her because Trap and Parent Trap. That feels 100% like that was why that was done. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Where did I get the Doctor Who thing?
I mean, she's British and has that vibe.
Yeah, for some reason I thought she was, but maybe I made that up. Anyway, so yeah. So
Miss Bliss.
Yeah. Is the FBI profiler, and she's the only one that knows exactly how this guy thinks. And is there, so it's like she's basically looking at every guy and she can just tell. But like just that's vibes. So that's what I wanted to talk about, because that's the plan, is a guy that they don't know what he looks like, they think is probably going to be at this show. And so they set up this big elaborate thing, which I feel like in a not Shyamalan movie, there's a way that if you know that the Butcher is going to be here, you could probably comb through security footage
or receipts.
Like, there's a data set that you could go through to see. Yeah. Like, both if people paid with credit cards, you could look for that, or just like, yeah, when they show up, you hang out in security and you scan people's faces and whatever, and you get a database of men to investigate. But like, it's a shoddy plan to catch him, and they go with it. And then Josh Hartnett then spends the entire movie being really suspicious and talking to everyone who, as you saw from the opening clip, they're like NPCs in a video game that only exist to give him useful information about this plan.
Well, it's like, why, yes, you need the secret passcode, which you can only obtain with one of the magic cards. Please collect 4 of those cards and bring them back to me, and I'll give you the pass key.
Yeah, the first guy tells him the entire plan and the password to say to the police to convince them that you work for the stadium. He steals an apron that gives him another guy's card to hand to them. That's the other part. You give the passcode and the card. And then
he also shoves a woman down the stairs and nobody notices.
He shoves a woman down the stairs and he scalds another woman by putting a bottle of grease into a grease the fryer, so that it explodes, giving her horrible
horrific
burns.
Yeah.
And in both cases, nobody notices that he did either of those things.
I was thinking about it, and really, I think this movie at its heart is a meditation on white male privilege.
Yes.
That he just steals a cop's radio at one point so that he can die hard the profiler.
Yeah. And the profiler, this is how she speaks. Like at all times, old Parent Trap is just on the radio, just going like, so here's what the butcher is going to do. He will at this point know that he is trapped. So he will try to pull a fire alarm or some other distraction to get everyone to run outside of the building. So when he does that, we have to only let the women and children out of the building so that all the men are still inside. And then we can investigate the men to figure out which one of them is the butcher. That's like how all of her dialogue works.
That sounds like an exaggeration. And other than having a delightful British lilt of an elderly woman, that's chapter and verse accurate.
Yeah. Everyone kind of talks like an NPC in a video game, but she is the most just on the nose.
Yeah. He's listening in and it's like, most likely at this point, our suspect will probably try to cause some sort of a diversion.
Yeah. And it's like, again, they don't know who the guy is, but she knows exactly every move that he's going to make. And the funny thing is, as we alluded to with the Bane bit and everything, his eventual plan is to get his daughter to be the dream girl on stage, which allows them to go backstage because he thinks that he can escape out the back, which is the funny thing is he does all this stuff. And when it gets to that point, that's actually the worst. Like it's funny because everything he's doing is so easy, but you realize how idiotic everything he's done has been. Because again, there were 8,000 men and they have no way of figuring out who the butcher is. But now he's the only guy backstage and there's a team of police that he would have to go through, which means he's getting extra scrutiny compared to any other guy of the 8,000, because that's the thing with the plan is like, you can't hold 8,000 dudes in a stadium all night, meaning you get seconds.
If it's Royal Rumble.
But I'm saying like, they're going to have seconds to profile each guy and make a decision. 100%. And they have no evidence to support whether or not they're the butcher. And he's a good liar who's there with his daughter. Chances are he could have just made it out of the stadium and not been caught. But because he goes backstage where now they're laser focused on who is this guy who's trying to leave and they have all the time in the world to interrogate him, he's cornered.
So then he reveals his identity to Lady Raven and then gets in the limo with her. And it just keeps going more and more off the rails from there.
Which I will applaud. The thing I love about Shyamalan is I checked. He reveals to Lady Raven that he is the butcher an hour into an almost 2-hour movie. So like right at the halfway point, he takes his pitch of Silence of the Lambs at a Taylor Swift concert and just torches it.
Yeah.
And is like, now it's a new thing.
Now it's a chase flick.
Yeah. Which, how did you feel about that? Like the switch?
So so when that moment happened, I was like, oh, there's got to be like 15 minutes left or something.
Right. That's why it took
solid
the time.
55 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just a series of more and more ridiculous decisions by every single character until we get to the conclusion.
Yes. Yeah, because basically he tells Lady Raven, like, because he has a feed, which feels like the best way to catch him, by the way, would be his digital footprint of the fact that he has like Wi-Fi cameras that film his victims.
It's by definition not a closed circuit.
Yeah. So that feels like the way to figure out who he is. But he shows her on his phone. He's like, you see this guy? I can press a button and he'll die. And I'm going to do it unless you sneak me and my family out with you in your limo. And then he does. And then she gets in the limo with him and his family, which the insane thing again of I love all the decisions people are making are she could very easily be like, OK, sir, have a good day. And then be like, hello, police. I got your guy. He's this guy who lives here. He showed me the camera that's on his phone. But she instead does her own sting operation.
And when she steals his and absconds with his phone, instead of calling the police, she goes on Instagram Live to tell her fans about what's happening.
Which I think is probably more effective than having called the police.
Actually,
in terms of saving the guy.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
Yeah, like, because they get results. She's Taylor Swift, so like she does an Instagram Live, and because she's able to talk to the guy who's tied up, and she's like, "What do you remember about the place?" And he's like, "I passed this broken statue, and the door is a blue door for the front door." So he has like these vague things, and then she's like, "Okay, fans, everyone in this city, where's a broken statue, and then where's a house with a blue door?" And she crowdsources like saving the guy.
Yeah. And then they're about to get him, but somehow he changes clothes with the riot cop and steals the limo.
Well, he has a secret tunnel out of the house. And then I don't know how he gets the riot stuff and gets into their limo, but somehow he does. And then, yeah, he gets control of her again, but then she escapes. And all of this leads to the final Shyamalanian twist, which is that Alison Pill, his wife, who like his family doesn't know that he's the butcher, but it turns out she suspected that he was the butcher. And twist, she found his safe house, broke into it, and left the receipt for the Lady Raven concert as a clue so the police could find him, which is like, you're like, okay, until you stop and think about it for 5 seconds and you're like, why not leave something way more specific and helpful?
Or just call the police anonymously.
Yeah, or call the police as you and be like,
or as
my husband's the butcher.
My husband's the butcher.
I'm standing in his secret house.
Yeah. And also, the reason she got
never thought about. Sorry.
Oh, no,
sorry.
go ahead.
You know what I never thought about until right this second? So his wife figures out he's the butcher. She leaves a clue behind that he's going to be at this concert. Then he's like, okay, have fun with our daughter at the concert. Like, she knows that he should be arrested at the concert. Like, she's the only one who is aware that they are doing the militarized police operation at the Lady Raven thing, or at least like something.
Well, yeah. So one of the things this movie back-assed its way into getting correct is that while popular culture portrays serial killers as these criminal masterminds, oftentimes they're of substantially below average intellect. And that tracks with everything that Josh Hartnett did.
That's true. He's
not very bright. And then it also tracks that his wife would be kind of a dim bulb too. To go through all of this. But yeah, and then it's like, here, let's have some pie while I reveal my evil good plan.
Yeah, he totally Bond villains. And
Well, she
she's
Bond
like,
villains him.
She Bond villains him, and she's like, yeah, why don't you eat this last slice of pie before you murder me with our meat cleaver that you're holding? And he's like, sure.
That was
for
good
old
pie.
time's sake, I'm going to eat this pie. And then the pie is laced with drugs that are not introduced until that point, I don't believe. Like,
Yeah, there's
we're
no
not,
Chekhov's drugs earlier on.
Yeah, well, like he never discusses it at any point, but it's just like, these are the drugs that you use to drug your victims, never mentioned before. But then he collapses, and then he's tased for like 10 minutes.
just the most ridiculous tasing session. It's like he gets tased to no ill effect, and then gets tased 3 more times until he eventually gets tased by Miss Bliss.
Yeah.
And that's
she's
the
like,
tase that brings him down.
And she's like, good morning. And then they capture him and they're leading him to the back of a like police van. And he's like, wait a second. Can I fix this bike?
I've got to pick this bike up. They're like, yeah,
they're
sure.
like,
Pick that bike up.
Yeah, why not? And then he steals a part of the bike. And
a spoke, which is notoriously loud to tear off of a bike.
Right.
Not something that you can subtly do, even if it's the chintziest bike.
And we see the entire unbroken scene of him setting the bike back up, and it lasts about half a second. But in that half a second, he has time to take the spoke off.
And stick it up his shirt sleeve.
But yeah, so then he does that, and then he uses it to pick the lock. And so at the end of the movie... But
he's still in the back of a paddy wagon.
Yeah, and they don't show the rest of the escape. Like, Shyamalan doesn't tell us what happens from there.
Because there wasn't one.
But I assume, and you have to assume this too, right? That all of that means that, like, he's going to cross over with the Shyamalan cinematic universe and he'll meet Split and Glass, right?
Yeah. Oh, that goes without saying.
Yeah, and they'll team up as a supervillain team, I guess.
And then they'll get stopped by Old.
Yeah.
Or the plants will rally together to stop the supervillains.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I think that's why we're setting up Miss Bliss as like she's the Batman to this rogues gallery of villains in the Shyamalan universe. So when they all team up to take down Miss Bliss, she'll have to stop them all.
That's all things that happen.
Yeah, and then we get the final scene, which is the security guard from the opening clip that we played. It's a good scene that then goes on too long and ruined it, but it did make me laugh and probably got the most sincere laugh from me was him watching the news footage and realizing in real time, I helped the serial killer. Which was a good bit, but then they don't cut away from it. So they just stay on him for too long. And then the scene keeps going for no reason. But yeah, I enjoyed that, like staying with him to show him at home.
Yes. No, that was delightful. And that merch vendor played by not Lil Rel Howery.
Yeah. Was he busy?
Like, that the casting director was given a Lil Rel Howery type. Like, that's what you need to put in.
Yeah, and I don't know why the negotiations fell through.
No, me neither. But man, what a missed opportunity for Lil Rel, who I love.
Which
by
also,
the way. I think he's delightful.
100%.
He's
that
fantastic.
Well, and that reminded me of another thing, but I want to see. Do you think we're ready to pivot, or do you have other specific things?
The only other thing I think we need to touch on is the weird, unnecessary subplot of the Mean Girl's mom that he keeps running into.
Right. Yes, that's a fair point, because it's unnecessary and weird, because I kept thinking it was going to be important and there's no payoff to it outside of the fact that the Mean Girls get
jealous of seeing Riley on stage.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I mean, I guess it shows that Riley is really sweet, and that they're terrible to her for no reason. I don't know. I mean, again, this seems like so much about M. Night Shyamalan and his daughter. Maybe that's something that happened to his daughter and he just put it in the movie or something.
Maybe.
But yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, this movie is so weird and convoluted, and like I mean, I think there are some genuine silver linings. So I'm ready to pivot, and I'm sure in pivoting we'll remember some of the other dumb and bad things that happened leading up to this.
Probably, but yeah, the Little World thing reminded me of my favorite cameo in the entire movie that we haven't talked about at all, but is 100% a silver lining for me, is everything that Kid Cudi is doing in this movie.
Yes. Playing a fictitious rapper singer, The Thinker, who is kind of a version of Lil Nas X.
I guess.
Is just awesome.
Yeah, he's in the like story of the movie. He gave Raven her break.
Yes.
Like he was who discovered her. And so he's there to perform with her. But he has this long gray wig that he wears.
Well, it's like white blonde. It's amazing.
It's white blonde hair. That's ridiculous. And then there's a scene where he seems to be trying to like flirt with Josh Hartnett. Like he's like,
and can you blame him? I mean, hubba.
I mean, of course not. Yeah, but he's just like looking back at him and like making eyes at him and like
does a little kissy mouth and
yeah, like doing all these like gesticulating at Hartnett to get his attention. Like
it's great.
And again, you might be like, well, then what? Nothing. Nope. There's no point for Kid Cudi to be in the movie at all.
Nope, it is purely a cameo for one Scott Mescudi, and it's great.
And what a career he's had. Fantastic season of Comedy Bang Bang that he was the band leader on. His work in the film X, obviously, truly great. Probably other stuff.
Banger after banger on as a music artist.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, like I like his music. I'm a fan of Kid Cudi, like in general.
Definitely,
definitely for sure. So that did make me very happy. The other thing I will say as a silver lining is, I thought, like I'll be honest in that I'll say like it's not necessarily like my type of music, and if I'm being honest, I don't know that I would like seek out her album, but I thought, as a soundtrack to the movie and as music being played on stage, I thought the M. Night Shyamalan's daughter's music in the movie is good. Like it really works for the movie and is enjoyable and solid. And like, I read that she kind of planned the songs around what was happening. So she did score it like a, composer would have. And I think the music all thematically works. It's cool. I liked the one that she plays on the piano when she's in the house. Like, everything really worked musically.
Do I remember a single song? No, but it definitely worked in the moment.
Right. That's what I'm saying is like, I will probably never go listen to the album, but watching the movie, she felt like a credible pop star. The music worked. Like, I thought all of that was very successful.
No, it's and she felt real.
Yes.
Like she felt like this could be a pop star that actually exists. Like everything felt like the choreography felt like the type of, like if you watch the Eras tour on Disney Plus, or if you are way too rich and got to go, like it had that vibe and it captured that essence really well. Dancing around an utterly absurd premise of a movie. Right.
But yeah, I think obviously a really important part of the movie, and I think the most successful part of the movie.
Yeah. I don't know that this counts as a silver lining, but I like that they took the swing of making the serial killer the protagonist, but definitely not the hero and not sympathetic in any way.
Right. Well, he loses, like, because I did wonder about that watching it, where like, because I don't know that I wanted him to be caught. Like, you don't at first. And then I think the movie kind of because he's the protagonist, you're just like, oh, how's he going to get out of this? But then, like, I think it was successful in centering the movie around him. But by the end, you're like, you want him to die.
Yeah. And I think something the movie did well was, I think it showed some of its cards too early. But like when you see the increased police presence and you kind of know something's up, and you see cops pulling certain men to question them and stuff like that. Like M. Night Shyamalan, if nothing else, is usually pretty good at nailing mood.
Right.
I think that's one of his stronger points. I think that's why Sixth Sense works so well. And I think it happens here. I think they could have maybe played a little closer to the vest with revealing him as the butcher, because like you don't really hear about the butcher until he's already looking at his camera, his webcam feed of the killer or of his victim.
Right. It's a funny thing with the guy known for twists that like maybe he was convinced that people would see it coming. So he just was like, no, I'm going to tell you from the beginning that he's the butcher. That's not the surprise, Indy. Like, he's the butcher. Just don't try to figure it out. Or like, who knows? But like,
maybe.
I agree. And I will say, I know we pivoted, but I'm like, I kind of wish they had stayed in the arena longer and there were more scenes of him die-harding his way through the arena trying to escape. Like, I wish he had 6 more failed plans to get out of there.
More of like, wow, we should go down that trap door, Riley, and see what's down there. Wouldn't that be cool, Riley? We should totally do that, Riley.
Right. I thought that was fun. It was funny. It felt like a missed opportunity. I thought he was going to try to make his daughter reconcile just to leave her alone with the other girls. You know, like because that was a big
as a way to get away.
Right. Because what was really hindering him was that his daughter was like, Dad, I want to watch the concert. And also, Dad, you're being weird, which handicapped like what he was able to try to do to escape. He would have had more moves. So I liked that dynamic of I also have to keep up appearances and I'm with my daughter. And so therefore I can't just like bail on her.
Yeah. Arguably what they should have done is the mean girl should have had the good seats. They should have had the worst seats. And like they could have gotten an invite to be down on the floor and that could have let him die hard around a little bit.
Right. And it kind of makes him be a bad dad in that he's pushing. She's like, Dad, let's just sit in our seats. And it's like, no, you should do this to reconcile with him. But really, I'm saying that because I need to be down there.
Right. Yeah. There's I don't know. I thought Josh Hartnett did a good job.
Yes. Yeah. And he did a really good job.
Back to the pivoting.
Yeah. Like, I thought like in that clip that we showed, and a lot of times that like Shyamalan made a choice to kind of stay on his face for a few extra seconds. And it's like he was convincingly being charming and lying to people. And then like you kind of see his face drop or like the smile, like go to fake or drop out or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I thought all of that, like he very convincingly sold like, you know, just the manipulation and the way that he could switch off from like family man to killer.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I think it really worked. Love Alison Pill. Always happy to see her and stuff.
Yeah, I think another missed opportunity would have been starting with the family. So we spent a little more time with her because she doesn't really show up until late in the movie.
Because even if you just have them driving away, like do just the opening scene and then you have them driving away and her just kind of look nervous for no reason. And then that plays into the nerves of all the police presence and all that. And like it could have built. And I don't know, maybe because maybe that scene exists and they cut it for pacing. Who knows? Right.
Honestly, you know what, too? Sorry, you and I are both just trying to rewrite this movie. I'm like, maybe a more interesting. Close. Right. But I'm like, maybe a more interesting version of the movie would have been she's a wife who figured out that her husband's the butcher and she went to the police and said, my husband's the butcher. And then they came up with a plan of like, my daughter is going to this concert, which is going like, so she and I will be out of the house and my husband will be alone in the house. And that's when you guys swarm and capture him. And then at the last minute, for some reason, he goes, I'm going to take her to the concert. You stay here. And that throws the wrench in the plan. And so now the whole thing is like, they're trying to figure out how to like arrest him.
Or if you have like Riley be like, you know, I haven't been able to spend time with Dad so much because he's been away murdering people.
Right.
Can we go to the concert together, Mom, instead of you and I?
And it's like the mom tries to talk it out of it, but then Hartnett's like, what, honey? Why? It seems like a good idea. I should do it. It's weird that you're not like you always say I should spend more time with her. And she kind of begrudgingly has to do it. But yeah, like just put all the cards on the table of like now it's there's one guy who's there with his daughter, and maybe they're passing his photo around because they don't know where his seats are or whatever. And then like they're trying to figure out how to arrest this guy. He figures out they're on to him and is trying to escape. But it's that, like, I think that probably is the better version. Yes, but like, because it did bother me where I think the flimsiest thing in the movie is just there's 8,000 guys and through somehow they're going to
find the one that's the actual butcher.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of corny.
Yeah. I think I mentioned it, but always pumped to see Hayley Mills, famed Doctor Who companion.
She was my favorite Doctor Who companion. Who can forget her seasons when the Doctor and the Doctor's wife, River, split up, and then she took it upon herself, her and her twin sister, to figure out a way to get them to reconcile. It's my favorite episode of Doctor Who.
It might be the best. I really liked the one where they went to the middle school planet, and the blonde kid had to find a way to join the secret club. And so all he had to do was be mean to his nerdy friend, the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was crazy that like so many other shows that then spun off into its own, like Torchwood. Yeah. It became its own series that ran for really
much like Torchwood.
Yeah. And I thought it was weird in that show that, like, you know, the Doctor, like there was all the sci-fi stuff and the you know, the things that the aliens could do and stuff. They never really addressed that the one guy, Zach, the main guy, had a superpower where he could do this, where it was like a T with his hands, and the entire world would freeze.
Yeah,
and like that was never the real explained. Time Lord. Yeah, but it's like you would think that would come up, but
you would think that someone with the ability to stop time would make a perfect antagonist for Doctor Who.
Yeah, but yeah, he and the Doctor never squared off.
Again, they never circled back the way, like, you know, like they brought Jack Harkness back from Torchwood and they did things like that. And
I kept thinking like Zach was going to turn out to be, you know, the Master or something. But, yeah.
Or then maybe he'd be the Valeyard, like the dark version of the Doctor or something like that.
Yep. But no.
Never
it didn't happen. Off. Yeah. And
yeah, I don't like, this is far and away the best Shyamalan movie that we've watched for this podcast.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Like I would say it's the one I've enjoyed the most, and I haven't seen a lot of them, but it's the one I've enjoyed the most since The Sixth Sense too.
I mean, if we're just saying his early stuff, I like Unbreakable. You know, like I enjoy that movie overall.
I mean, that's fair. I hated every second of that movie. Like,
that's
I get
also
why
fair.
People like it, but I loathe that movie. It's, again, M. Night Shyamalan, who's really good at mood, picked the wrong mood for that movie, and that he directed it identical to The Sixth Sense, and it's a totally different movie.
Yes,
cool idea.
It's a comic book. It's a comic book movie, but it's not directed like one.
No, it's directed like a psychological horror flick, which it isn't.
Right, but yeah, that's fair. But I like that one probably more than this. But yeah, overall, this is up there.
Yeah, it's better than. I haven't seen Split, although I've heard that's really good.
Yeah, I never saw it either.
Didn't see Glass.
I haven't seen Glass either. Yeah, I didn't watch any of the new.
Saw bits of Old. It's dumb and bad. The Village is bad. Signs is bad. Lady in the Water is bad.
Well, the funny thing is, even with Signs, I think I like the beginning of Signs, but the end of Signs is so stupid.
Yeah.
The reveal that the aliens are allergic to water, meaning that they're this conquering species that came to Earth to kill us all, and then found a planet that's mostly water, and that literally they were all
by beings that are mostly water.
By beings that are mostly water, and also if they just waited long enough, they were all going to die the first time it rained.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Yeah, dumb and bad. But yeah, but no, it is miles better than The Last Airbender or The Happening.
I think The Happening is his worst movie.
Having not seen enough, I don't feel bad saying that.
Of the ones I've seen, I think.
Oh, The Last Airbender is the second worst then.
But I feel like if you asked me to watch one of them again, I'd first say, why are you mad at me? and let's not do this. But if you were really insistent, I think I would pick Last Airbender to watch again versus Signs.
Yeah, versus The Happening.
Or The Happening, sorry. Yeah. Because The Happening is just boring and bad.
It's the first 20 minutes are hilarious and when they're not supposed to be. And then the rest of the movie is insufferably bad. It's
90% shots of like slowly, like grass just like in the wind.
Wind blowing through the leaves.
Yeah, that's pretty much most of the movie.
But yeah, like, no, this movie, it takes some swings. The vibe is cool throughout. I was with it, like the mood, the tone, the pacing ish. But it just makes some weird missteps and gets really convoluted. And then like the third act is dumb.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're a Shyamalan fan and you haven't seen this movie, that I'd be surprised, but go see it if you haven't. If you're
not
also,
if you're a fan of Lady Raven, come out to the show with your glow sticks.
And listen, if Bane tells you to do it, you know you have to.
So do it, Batman!
Silver Linings Playback is a production of HoboTrashcan.com. If you enjoyed the show, please rate or review it on Apple Podcasts. Hear more great shows on the Peak Sloth Podcast Network.